I didn't plan to destroy my brother-in-law's life that night. I just wanted one peaceful dinner with my family. But when he leaned back in his chair, smirked, and called me a loser in front of everyone, something in me finally snapped. And what I said, it didn't just silence the table. It shattered everything. My name's Anthony. I'm 29 years old, and if you ask my family who I am, they probably hesitate before answering. Not because they don't know me, but because I've always been the one they never really notice. I grew up in a small town in Virginia. The kind of place where everyone knows your name, but still somehow misses who you really are. We were a family of 5, my dad, my mom, my older sister Paige, my younger brother Caleb, and then me. The middle child. The invisible one. Paige was perfect. I'm not exaggerating. Straight A student, cheer captain, always smiling, always winning something. Teachers loved her, neighbors adored her, and my parents worshipped her. Caleb, on the other hand, was the baby. Funny, careless, always getting into trouble, but somehow never getting in trouble. He had this charm that made people forgive him before he even apologized. And me? I was just there. Not bad enough to worry about, not good enough to celebrate, just background noise. I remember one moment clearly. I must have been around 16. Paige had just gotten into a big university, and my parents threw her this huge celebration. Decorations, cake, relatives driving in from other states. Everyone was hugging her, praising her, telling her how proud they were. That same week, I'd won a regional coding competition. It wasn't easy. I'd stayed up nights learning things way beyond what my school taught. I told my dad about it. He nodded, barely looking up from his phone, and said, "That's nice, son." That was it. That's nice. I don't think I ever forgot that moment. Because that's when I realized something. No matter what I did, it would never be enough to make noise in a house that only listened to certain voices. So I stopped trying to be loud. I just focused on building my life quietly. I went to community college because it was what we could afford, or more accurately, what my parents were willing to help me afford. Paige got loans, support, encouragement. I got advice like, be realistic. So I was. I worked, studied, transferred, and eventually built a career in cybersecurity. It wasn't flashy, but it was solid, stable, good money, good future. I moved out, got my own place, built something on my own, and for a while, I thought that was enough. Until Todd came into the picture. Todd. My sister's husband. If confidence could be bottled and sold, Todd would have been a millionaire. He had that polished look, perfect teeth, expensive watch, the kind of handshake that lingers just a second too long. He sold medical equipment, but the way he talked about it, you'd think he was saving lives personally. From day one, my dad loved him. Really loved him. The way he never loved me. They'd sit together for hours, talking business, laughing, sharing drinks like old friends. My dad would clap him on the back and say things like, "That's the kind of man I respect." And I'd be sitting right there, hearing it, feeling it, knowing exactly what it meant. Todd wasn't openly cruel, not at first. He was worse than that. He was subtle. Still doing that computer stuff? He'd say casually. Or, "Man, I don't know how you sit at a desk all day." I'd go crazy. And everyone would laugh. Every single time. Including my dad. I told myself it didn't matter. That I was above it. That I didn't need their approval. But here's the truth. People don't like admitting. Even when you grow up, a part of you still wants your family to see you. To choose you. And mine never did. The moment things really started to change happened about 6 months before that dinner. I went over to Paige and Todd's house to drop off a gift for my niece Lily. She'd just turned 4, and I brought her this oversized stuffed elephant she absolutely loved. I walked into the garage and heard Todd talking on the phone in the kitchen. I wasn't trying to listen, but then I heard him laugh and say something that made me stop. "She has no idea," he said. "I swear, it's like living 2 lives." I froze. He kept talking, lower now, more careful. I couldn't hear everything, but the tone wasn't normal. It wasn't innocent. It was secretive, satisfied, like someone getting away with something. I didn't confront him. I didn't even let him know I was there. I just walked in like nothing happened. But something had, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just seen a crack in something that looked perfect from the outside. After that, I started noticing things. Little things at first. Todd always on his phone, angled away from Paige, taking calls in other rooms, smiling at messages he never explained. Then bigger things. Late work dinners. Weekend meetings. Trips that didn't quite add up. I told myself I might be imagining it. But deep down, I knew I wasn't. And then came the dinner. The one that changed everything. It was a Sunday night. My mom had made pot roast, her everything is fine meal. Everyone was there. Paige, Todd, Caleb, my parents, and me. We sat down, passed plates, made small talk. For a few minutes, it almost felt normal. Almost. Then Todd turned to me. "So, Anthony," he said, smiling like he was about to entertain the room. "What's new with you? Still doing that freelance thing?" I felt something tighten in my chest. "I'm not freelance," I said calmly. "I work full-time, same 3 years now." He smirked. "Right, the computer thing." My dad chuckled. "That sound. That same sound from years ago." Something inside me shifted. Todd leaned back, put his arm around Paige, and said, "Not everyone's built for the real world, I guess." Laughter. Again. Always laughter. Then he looked at me directly. "Honestly, man, you're almost 30. No house, no wife, no kids, just a job and an apartment." He paused and smiled. "You're kind of a loser." Silence. Not because people were shocked, but because they were waiting to see how I'd react. "And my dad?" He laughed. Not loud, but enough. Enough to break something in me that had been holding on for years. I looked at Todd, then at my dad, then around the table, at every person who had watched this happen over and over again, and said nothing. My hands were steady. My voice was calm. But inside, that wire I'd been holding on to my entire life, it snapped. "You're right, Todd," I said quietly. He smiled, thinking he'd won. That I'd back down, like always. I leaned forward slightly, met his eyes, and said, "Hey, quick question." He raised an eyebrow. "Yeah?" I smiled. The kind of smile that doesn't come from happiness. "How does it feel being boyfriend number 11? The room went dead silent. Not quiet, dead. Todd's face changed instantly. Color drained, smile gone. "What did you just say?" he asked. I didn't look away. "You heard me." Paige looked at me confused at first, then afraid. "Anthony," my mom said sharply, but I didn't stop. "Not this time. I just figured since you're so interested in my life, maybe we should talk about yours." Todd stood up so fast his chair scraped loudly across the floor. "You don't know what you're talking about." But his voice, it wasn't angry. It was scared. And that's when I knew. I wasn't wrong. Not even close. Paige started crying. My dad didn't laugh this time. He just stared at me like I'd crossed a line that didn't exist until that moment. "Anthony, leave," my mom said. Cold, firm, final. I stood up. Looked around the table one last time, at the people who never defended me, never saw me, never chose me, and I said, "Gladly." I walked out that door not knowing if I'd just ruined everything, or finally told the truth that no one else had the courage to say. But what I didn't know yet was that this was just the beginning. Because what I suspected about Todd was about to turn into something much bigger. Something that would tear my entire family apart, and force them to finally see me. The night I walked out, I thought I'd gone too far. For the first time in years, I wasn't calm. I wasn't quiet. I wasn't the guy who just let things go. And honestly, it scared me. Because when you finally speak after being silent for so long, you don't know what it's going to cost you. My phone started blowing up before I even got home. My mom texted first. "What you did was cruel. Your sister is devastated." No mention of Todd. No mention of what he said to me. Just me, as always. Paige called. I didn't pick up. Later, I listened to the voicemail. Her voice was shaking. "Anthony, I don't know what you think you know, but you had no right to say that. You humiliated him. You humiliated me." That hurt more than anything. Not because she was angry, but because she still believed him. Days passed, then weeks. Silence. Complete silence. No family dinners. No calls. No texts. It felt like I'd been erased. The only one who reached out was Caleb. "Dude, something's off." He told me one night. "Todd's acting weird. Paige isn't herself. I think you might be right." That was the first crack. Then something unexpected happened. A message from a woman I didn't know. "Hey, you're Paige's brother, right? We need to talk." Her name was Jenna. She worked at the same company as Todd. We met at a small coffee shop and I could tell she was nervous before she even spoke. Then she said it. "Everyone at work knows." My stomach dropped. She told me everything. Todd had been having an affair for over a year with a woman from another branch. Hotels, work trips, late meetings. It wasn't a mistake. It was a double life. And this time I had proof. Messages, dates, patterns. Not guesses, not suspicions, the truth. I sat with that information for 2 days because this wasn't about proving myself right anymore. This was about my sister. So I made a plan. A quiet one. No yelling. No explosions. Just the truth where it couldn't be ignored. A week later, we were all back at my parents' house. Same table. Same people. But this time I wasn't invisible. I was the one holding the truth. Paige looked tired. Really tired. Like deep down she already knew something wasn't right. At one point my dad said casually, "Why don't you call Todd? Invite him over." Paige hesitated. "He's at a work dinner." That was my moment. Caleb pulled out his phone, opened the family location app, and turned the screen toward her. Todd wasn't at a dinner. He wasn't even out of town. He wasn't even out of town. He was at a hotel. 10 minutes away. Paige stared at the screen. Her face slowly changed. Confusion. Denial. Then realization. That's not possible," she whispered. I looked at her and gently said, "It is." She called him. "Put it on speaker." "Where are you?" she asked. "Work dinner." Todd replied smoothly. I can hear the confidence in his voice. The same confidence he had that night he called me a loser. Paige's voice broke. "Then why are you at a hotel right now?" Silence. Long. Heavy. Guilty silence. And just like that, his perfect image collapsed. He tried to lie, tried to twist it, tried to blame me. But it didn't matter anymore because for the first time Paige saw the truth with her own eyes. She hung up. Slowly. Carefully. Like everything in her world had just shifted. Then she looked at me, tears in her eyes, and said, "You were right." That was it. No yelling. No drama. Just truth. The aftermath was messy. It always is. Paige filed for divorce within a month. Todd tried to fight it, tried to save his image. But once the truth is out, there's no putting it back. He lost everything. The house. The marriage. The respect. Even the woman he cheated with left him. And me? For the first time in my life, my family saw me. My dad apologized. Not perfectly, but honestly. "I should have listened to you," he said. That meant more than he'll ever understand. Paige and I rebuilt slowly, not overnight, but piece by piece. This time with honesty. One evening months later, we were sitting outside while Lily played in the yard. Paige looked at me and said, "You know, Todd used to say you were jealous of him." I laughed. "For real this time?" "I was never jealous," I said. "I just saw him clearly." She smiled. And for the first time in years, it felt real. Looking back now, I don't regret what I said that night. Not the timing. Not the words. Not even the silence that followed. Because sometimes the only way to be heard is to stop being quiet. And sometimes the truth doesn't just set you free. It shows everyone else who you really are.